Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa Rabbil Alameen. Waqibatun lil mustaqim wala utwana ila ala dalimeen. Muhammadan wa huwa Sayyidina Makbubana innahu kana Sayyidin Mursaleen. Salawatu Allah Ta'ala wa salamuhu alayhi. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh lil ikwani wa fati fi din. Salamu ala mani taba huda. Likwani Kwati fi Afrika, Asia, Europa, America, Caribbean, Kuli Macan. Smiles, excuse me, my dear brothers and sisters. Okay. Um, excuse me again. I'm sorry. I'm trying to coordinate as usual my the Facebook with the YouTube, and it's not easy to do it. Okay, all right. I'm going to talk about something today that's serious business: the salat and the common mistakes going into the masjid, inside the masjid, and so forth and so on. I take this very seriously because the masjid is not a playground, nor is it a place for anybody to desecrate it. Desecrating not necessarily mean throwing eggs on it or throwing debris on it, but there's other desecrations that the Muslims are doing that is a desecration of the masjid. And as well, we have, let me preface this, my brothers and sisters, to say this. All of us have to learn, and we continue to learn to our grave. And this is by no means talking about the people who do not know. This is why I'm talking about this today, because they may not know. I always learn something. I mean, it's always continuous. I find something. I say, oh, I didn't even know this. And this is how we learn in Islam. And so you're not held responsible for your ignorance. Ignorance meaning not that you're stupid and ignorant in this way, but your ignorance you just didn't know. So here we're not talking about those who did not know. Here I'm helping you to discern. So when you come into masjid, you don't follow those who are innovating. And this is what I'm doing here. But this is a message to those who are innovating, and they know they are innovating. And so I'm trying to help the brothers and sisters as well, but mainly the brothers, because the brothers spend most of their time going to the masjid and our sisters do not. So this is help to design you to perfect your etiquette going into the masjid, making your prayers, and so forth and so on. I'll get into that. Because dear brothers and sisters, I don't play when it gets down to the salat. I don't compromise that. I don't compromise with the masjid and so forth and so on. Meaning, I do not ascribe to any other type of the desecration of the masjid. I am against any person, anybody, any entity who tries to take that away from us, which we have that today. And I'm only one person. I don't have an army behind me. I don't have howitzers to shoot down range to bomb the people. That's not what this is about. But I can only talk and educate my brothers and sisters so that way they don't make these mistakes. Because I see these mistakes every day, and I've seen them in Sudan. I saw that in Egypt. I saw that when I was in Qatar. So I've seen these mistakes. And of course, I've seen them here in Maghreb, Morocco. So today I'm going to spend some time talking about that, dear brothers and sisters, because it's important that we do. And you see here, I have in the bottom here the very chilling hadith of our Prophet, alayhi salatu salam. He says here, Kuli bid'ati dalala, kuli dalalati fi nar. Every innovation is misguidance, and every misguidance leads you to the fire. This is why I say, brothers and sisters, the innovators who do come to the masjid to innovate, to disrupt, and to cause problems, and to mislead the people, and then they say that they're Muslims. This hadith is basically guided at them. because they are innovating. And they believe that when they come in and they can innovate, they think everything's going to be okay. But the Prophet ﷺ has cleared this up by saying, no, you come in and make bid'ah and misguidance, this will lead you to the fire. So right there, that's an answer to the innovators. Again, we're not talking about those Muslims who do not know, they're new, or they have not been taught correctly. This is not, we're not talking about those people. This is why I'm hoping that those who may not know will now say, oh, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. And that way they're brought up to speed. So I'm not after them, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm after these people. I'm after those innovations that are disrupting the Muslim Ummah in the masjid in particular. Because today we're talking about the masjid. We're not talking about establishing a salat inside the house today. We're talking about now the brothers going to the masjid. So we'll get started here. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. One of the big mistakes that I see, and a lot of times I've made them, I'm not thinking, my mind is on something else. Somebody talked to me outside the masjid and I make this mistake, but it's nothing major. When entering the masjid, enter it with your right foot. I'm talking about the very basics today, brothers and sisters, the basics. And then offering a silent dua. I'm going to get into this because this is something now I see everywhere and it's happened. I've even seen it on TV and I'm shocked that nobody's corrected these people for doing this. The offering, and I'll give you what to me is the best, the most beautiful dua that encompasses everything. Let's ask a question here, brothers and sisters. When we come to the masjid, we're coming to the masjid, what to? Yes, to fulfill our obligations, but what? To venerate subhanahu wa ta'ala and to praise, and also to praise and follow the lead of our Prophet alayhi salatu. And of course, fellowship with the believers. This is also part of that. So when you enter the masjid, of course, you take your shoes off before you enter, and you put it out, like in Muslim states, we have bags, colored bags, so that way you can find your shoes and you can wrap your shoes in the bag, so that way it don't, track dirt inside the masjid and so forth, so on. Then you have a shoe rack where you can they have many shoe racks all over the place where you can put your shoes and so forth and so on. This is how the masjid is. So that way you don't desecrate the masjid by bringing mud and so forth into the masjid. That's why one of the factors of not coming to the masjid is when it's heavy rain and snow and the area is so muddy that you're going to track in snow, rain, mud on your clothes when you come inside the masjid. But here we have now entered the masjid. We put our shoes in our bag. We've entered the right foot. Now we make the silent dua. Silent meaning very lightly. You don't have to keep it. No, you don't keep it in here. Very lightly. Because the angels you have already been talking to. Now, let's go back further on this. When you're at home, okay, or at work, say for instance, and maybe you're walking from your job to the masjid, which is not far away, or maybe you're at home and you're walking to the masjid, or the car, going in the car. The minute you make your wudu, you are in the state of making salat. You're in that state now. So it encompasses many things. The dhikr Allah and having the right niyyah. Remember, I've been talking about the niyyah for a long time, the right sincere niyyah that you're going to make this prayer. And in this way, you are in a mindset, your heart, everything is geared towards that salat, that veneration of subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay? And the following the lead of our Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam. This is what this is about. So as you walk, you're walking in a state now of salat. You're about ready to make that salat. So you're walking down the street. And of course, you see the brothers on the streets, you give them salam. You're supposed to do that. Give them salam. There's some other things about that I will talk about another time. Some issues about when you don't give salam. I won't get into those issues today because we talk about the basic fundamentals. So now you're coming to the masjid. You come to the masjid. Of course, you get your bag. You enter with your right foot. You close your shoes up. and now you enter and you make your dua, okay, to subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here's what the innovators are doing. I've seen this everywhere. I saw it on TV also the other day. This one, I picked up this thing on the masjid. I saw it. I couldn't believe it. I saw one also on Facebook. The innovators will enter broadcasting loudly, Salam Alaikum. This is an innovation. I've asked some who do this, where did you get that? And they say from a hadith that is authentic, which is no such thing. Unless I've never found it. I've asked students, and I've asked scholars I refer to, and nobody, I mean, unless somebody can come up with something to correct me. I didn't know that the first thing you do, you come in the masjid, you broadcast out, Salam Alaikum. This is desecration of the masjid. I'm going to tell you why. The brothers are in a state of salat. There's solace. There's a sakina. Remember, I've been using this word, the peace. You have brothers making their sunnah prayers. You have brothers making tahiyyat to the masjid. You have brothers who are maybe conversing lightly about some verse in the Quran. You have brothers who are actually reading the Quran, okay? And you have brothers who are making dua. And you have other brothers who are doing other things meaningful, making dhikr. And there's a peace, there's a solace, there's a sakina inside the masjid. Then you come and you make a broadcast out. Salam alaikum. This is bid'ah, big time, brothers and sisters. This is bid'ah. Now, you come in the masjid and you see an old friend here, you see an old brother here, you see this other guy, you see some young man, and you come in, you give them lightly, Salam alaikum. There's nothing wrong with that. But to broadcast this out, now you say, yeah, well, I think you're too harsh. Wait a minute, let's look at this. This is just one person. If you have 200 people who enter the masjid and say maybe 1/4 of them are doing this, what kind of masjid is this now? What kind of masjid? You have some brothers making a dua. He's concentrating on that. And suddenly he's near the door. And brother, whammo. Salam alaikum. This is bid'ah. This innovation is happening too much. And they don't give the right dua. They make precedence on self-indulgence by showing their arrogance and self-indulgence by broadcasting to the world and asking for salam back. At the time when you should not be doing this. You can go to your brothers. You come in the masjid, you make your dua, and then you walk inside the masjid. That's sakina, with tranquility. You see the brothers here. Salam alaikum, brothers. Salam alaikum, Muhammad, Ahmed. How you doing? Kayfa hal? This is okay. But you don't disturb the brothers who's praying. You don't disturb the brother who's making a dua. You don't disturb the brother who's making dhikr. The brothers who maybe are sitting there not doing anything. Hey, Ahmed, kayfa hal? How you doing? Salam alaikum, brother. How you doing? There's nothing wrong with that. That's beautiful. That's the way it's supposed to be. But we're not doing that. The best dua, in my eyes, the one to me that gives me the most meaning, it encompasses just what I talked about the veneration of subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also the good wishes for our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, is the one where we say Bismillah. Okay, Bismillah. And then we go into, we talk, this is for subhanahu wa ta'ala here. Bismillah. And then we go to venerate the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. We go to venerate him. And during this time, brothers, when you come in for this dua, you should pause for that second. This is what I do. Don't rush to come in the masjid. If you look at the hadiths of the Prophet, he talked about the calmness of coming in slowly and collectively collecting your thoughts. If you come in from a long distance like I do, I'm an older man now. I'm not 20 years old. So, I may be a little winded. So I come in and, I have to gather myself. This is the best. And then I start my dua. You Bismillah, salatu salam ala Rasulillah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma iftahli abwaba rahmatik. Allahumma Subhanahu wa ta'ala, you asking him, please open up the gates of your mercy. This is what I said. This is the best. Why? You just venerated Subhanahu wa ta'ala. You covered that. You venerated and you gave salam to our Prophet alayhi salam and your best wishes. And then you asked Subhanahu wa ta'ala to open up the gates of his mercy. This is the best dua. Not come in broadcasting salam alaikum and then you walk around and you disturbing the peace. This is not the right thing. This is innovation, brothers. And like I say, you check with your students of knowledge in your area and ask them about this and see what they say. They may disagree. They may say, hey, look, there's nothing wrong with you doing that. There may be a time where it could be you could do that. And I've seen a situation where you can do this. Where, you know, and I was in this situation, matter of fact, there was a lot of ruckus going on. And there was one time it happened, I went to this one agricultural show, this is 3-4 years ago before the web app. And there was a lot of disarray in this small masjid, okay? It was at this like a playground, not playground, but, you know, a place where the people have agricultural events and so forth, so on. They were selling animals and everything like this. And I like to go to those things. I see a lot of innovations and stuff of new scenery, you know, machinery and seed for grass and everything. So I like that. It's good. I like to spend 2-3 hours and I go home. I like it. So it's time to go make prayer. I found the brothers in a big disarray. There was a lot of debates going on. It was kind of boisterous. I came in the masjid. I said at this time and broadcast loudly, Salaam alaikum, so they could see me. And then when they saw me, Salaam alaikum, Sheikh. Salaam alaikum, Imam. I calmed everybody down. That's a situation I had to do that because there was a lot of ruckus going on inside the masjid because they didn't know who was going to be the imam. They were looking for someone to be the imam. There was a lot of talk. You see, that's the difference. There's always a time for that, but not come in every single day when there's not this disarray inside the masjid and you do this. It's wrong, brothers and sisters. Please be mindful of that. The dua takes precedence. What are you there for, brothers? Are you there so you can give salam to certain ones you know and to be for self-indulgence? No, that's not your priority. That's not even your priority at all. Your priority is there to venerate Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you make your dua, and then you talk to the Prophet, but you're there to connect with Subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're there in the secondary, the third and the fourth, to fellowship with your brothers in a community, in a communal prayer, so to speak. This is also important. It doesn't take precedence over venerating Subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should get that straight. I'm spending time on this because this is a major problem today. Or we have people that don't do anything at all. They don't give salam to people. And they could be like that. You may be in deep thought, but they don't make dua either. And some don't know it. But I would suggest, brothers and sisters, you put in something in Google like entering the masjid, what dua can I say? And you'll get, there's a few of them, okay? The Prophet ﷺ gave us a variety of some short and sweet. You can take and adopt that. You don't go wrong. I'm talking about one that I like. And one that many of the students now they love this, and also the scholars. They love this, and some of the scholars love this particular dua because it covers the whole gamut. So this is what I suggest for you, my brothers and sisters. Now, as I said, don't come to the masjid, brothers, to desecrate it. Don't do that. Don't come in loud clothing. Don't come in suggested clothing, tight-fitting clothing where you can see the bulge of your pants. Or the pants are so low that you can see the backside. Don't come and desecrate the masjid. Don't come and shame yourself before Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't come in and shame your brothers who have to look at you when you come in with a big bulge there in the front of your pants. And then when you turn around and you get ready to go make your sunnah prayers or the tahiyyat, the masjid, that prayer, okay? The prayer for the masjid. you get ready to do that, and then your backside showing. Don't come in and do your brothers that way. All of these are desecrations of the masjid. And I tell you, this happened a long time ago when I was in Sudan in 2008. I'll never forget this one imam. He ran a tight ship inside the masjid. I mean, a tight ship. He saw somebody do something, he was on it. And everybody loved him for it because they knew when they came into his masjid, it was going to be a masjid that was fi sabili Allah Ta'ala and per the Sunnah of Nabi, alayhi salatu wasalam. And he was good, and he made sure and he protected his followers, the worshipers in there. He would turn around, and after the Iqamah, he wanted to make sure the lines are right. And he would make sure, and he knows some people may be getting out of the car, so he may delay it a little bit so the brothers can come and he wouldn't have to rush to get hurried to the line. That's how good this guy was. But he also was stern. I saw that. And we had visitors, brothers from another country come into the masjid. They came in with tight clothing. And one was a tall brother, okay, very tall brother. And he had a big old bulge. The pants were so tight. And the imam walked over to him and ordered the caretakers to get him a wrap. I know this in the South Pacific, we call them ilav-lavas, and they have it. And you have them in Sudan, you have it in southern Egypt, Yemen. There's a wraparound material. Those who know what I'm talking about, he gave him that so that way his aura would not be covered. Would be covered. So this is what I'm talking about here, brothers and sisters. The self-indulgence is bad news. It's not good. It desecrates the masjid, and you also shame your brothers when you do that. As I said before, what makes matters worse, the imam, okay, I won't get into that right now. Let me back off that first, because I'll talk about the imam in a minute. But now we're going to go up to here. We're going to talk about something. I'm going to give you some proofs here about the innovators. And because I know somebody's going to say, I don't know about this Yahya. I'm not sure. I never heard anything about this before. Well, here we got the Surah 57, and we got verse 27. This goes to the heart of the matter. And Subhanahu wa ta'ala here is covering quite a bit here. He's covering the Christians, the Jews, and he's also covering the Muslims. Subhanahu wa ta'ala says, then, this is, again, Surah 57, verse 27, then in their wake, we followed them up with others, our messengers. We sent after them Jesus, son of Mary, alayhi salatu wasalam, and bestowed on him the gospel. And we ordained in the hearts of those who followed him compassion and mercy. That trumps the Christians who say that the Muslims and Subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we believe like we believe in some other God, doesn't like Christians. That's not the case. Here he's talking about veneration of Jesus alayhi wasalam and his Injil, his gospel, which has been corrupted. We know that, but that's another story. But he says that those who follow him, compassion and mercy, okay? But the monotheism, which they invented for themselves, here he talked about how the Christians innovated the gospel of Jesus, which we know they did. We don't have to argue over this point. We did not prescribe for them. Subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I didn't tell you to change that. Then we commanded only the seeking for the good pleasure of Allah. Again, brothers and sisters, you see, everything they do, we look for the pleasure of Subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do this. Then, but they did not foster as they should have done. They didn't come with goodwill. When you begin to change the word of Subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you change the Torah, when you change the gospel, and you change the Quran, you have a problem with Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet we bestowed on those among who believe their due reward. Those who are not innovating, they're rewarded. But many of them are rebellious transgressors, meaning a lot of them, you see, transgressors. This is what we talk about. This is the proof here about these guys. Now, we come inside the masjid. Let's get into this a little bit more. We come inside the masjid. I'm going to tell you some other things too that are not right. The brother comes into the masjid. He's loud. He disturbs the peace. He doesn't give a dua to subhanahu wa ta'ala, venerating the prophet. No, none of that. He comes into the line. So now he didn't complete the sunnah prayers. And let me preface this, brothers. I may be a little long today, but this is important. It's best, and you get your best reward if you can, if you live near enough, to make your sunnah prayers, which I talked about the other day. Remember, make your sunnah prayers inside the house. This is the best. But if you can't, because of time restraints, you come make the sunnah prayers inside the masjid. This brother Ahmed came in. Okay, he began to do. He made the tahiyyat in the masjid. Okay, and then he began to do the sunnah prayers with the two before Fajr prayer. Right. Suddenly, the iqama is sounded. The brother continued on with his sunnah prayers. Not only did he did two, he began to enter the third one even after the iqama has sounded. And the brothers are hastening themselves to the line. Now you have one line, the first line near the imam. You have two or one of these innovators there still making tahiyyat to the masjid or making the sunnah prayers. You have the second row. You have 3 or 4 more doing this in the salat line after the iqamah has sounded. And then you have it all the way back. This is an innovation, brothers and sisters. There's no, the Prophet ﷺ made it clear. He said there's no prayer in between. Okay, after the you have the adhan. Okay, you make your dua, you come in and you make your sunnah prayers and so forth and so on. But when the iqamah sound, there's no prayer after it. This is what the Prophet ﷺ made. Now, you see, so let me give you the conditions to that. Ahmed has come in and he's doing this. Now say I'm Yahya, I come in and say I made my sunnah prayers already inside the house. So I'm going to give the tahiyyat to masjid because this is what the Prophet ﷺ told us to do in hadith. So I wanted to get to Azure. So maybe I'm in my first rak'at. All of a sudden I heard the imam give the iqamah. Okay, he's giving the iqamah. If you can imagine this, I have to calculate. I'm only in my first rak'at. You must stop, brothers. You must stop and then proceed to the salat line. You cannot continue because the people are forming. Even if you're not in the salat line and you're in the back in the corner, you should not attempt to finish because they're common to salat. If you look to what it says, and what does it say in there? Come to the prayer, right? Come, okay? Come to the prayer. It's tell you in there. So what are you doing? You coming to the prayer, meaning the fard prayer, because this is mandatory now. So you enter that line. When you have a disruption, when you have 4 or 5 brothers, and suddenly you have one here is making 4 rakats, 5, and here the imam, the muezzin, he's given you the iqamah. He's still making nafila. And now the imam gives his takbir, Allahu Akbar. These people are still doing nafila. Brothers and sisters, this is a big time, vicious crime inside the masjid. Because it's a form of desecration in a lot of ways. And I'm talking about the people who didn't know. I'm not talking about you, brother. Today, you heard me out. Now you understand. You don't do this anymore. And some of the brothers, I've corrected them in the masjid. I've corrected them. And they understand. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sheikh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Others argue with me. And they'll tell me, no. I said, okay. And then I'll ask them, sometimes even after the prayer, I'll ask them, I said, brother, Ahmed, you're supposed to, when you hear the iqamah, you're supposed to hasten yourself. Now stop your salat because you didn't have time to finish it and go to the salat line. No. I can go on the salat line. I can finish up there. I said, well, do you have a hadith to prove this? And then I even asked them, said, are you following some madhab that I don't know about? And they can't argue. They argue with you, but they can't explain it. But they'll do it anyway. These are the people I'm talking about now. Watch them. They're there only to innovate and to cause people to follow them to the fire. You see what the prophet said. Kuli bid'ah is dalala, is misguidance. Here is this guy. He is making innovation, and he's also introducing misguidance because he's trying to misguide others to follow him. Okay? Then the prophet says, this misguidance will lead you to the fire. So this is why I'm talking harshly today about this issue, because the masjid is the home of Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. It's built to venerate him. This is why I don't play with that. And that's why I'm talking this way today, bringing you the proofs to clean up our salat in it and all these innovations. Now, as I said before, just in case those didn't understand me in English, I may be talking too fast. The rule to go by is what many scholars have said. If you are doing your sunnah prayers, for instance, and or the greetings to the masjid, the tahiyyat to masjid, and you are in the first rak'ah and the iqamah sounds, you must abandon the salat. You'll get credit for it, brothers. You get credit for it. There's no harm in that. You're not making an innovation. You get credit for it, and you hasten yourself. And you hasten yourself. You stop the prayer and hasten yourself to the prayer line. Second, if you are in the second rak'ah and you're close to offering the tashahhud, okay, now the imam is sounded off in the iqamah. He is still talking, and you're close to the tashahhud and to taslim. You finish your salat now, brothers. This is okay. This is not innovation, because you can finish. You're almost finished here. You're almost finished with your tashahhud, and you're about ready to do taslim, and you hear the iqamah. Don't stop it. You can finish that, no problem. And the iqamah sounds, finish the prayer, as it says here. Finish it. So we talked about the entering of the masjid, and we talked about this, and we talked about this issue here, because I want that clear. Again, brothers, if you come in and say, say, for instance, you did the hajj to the masjid, okay? And now you're getting ready to do the sunnah prayer, and say you can even do it because the iqamah sounded. You can finish the sunnah prayer after. This is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You can do your sunnah prayer after if you like. If you like, you do it after the prayer. No problem with that. But don't start to commence the sunnah prayer after the iqamah is sounded. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu, there's no salat after the sound of the iqamah is sounded off. It's over. Except in this situation here where you're close and you're in the tashahhud. Okay, you're down and you're in the tashahhud, you're venerating, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're close and you're ready to give the taslim, salamu alaikum, salamu alaikum. You're ready to do that. Now you finish that. There's no harm in that, brothers. There's no harm in that. This is the best way. I'm giving you this today so that way we can clean up. You know what? There's things when I first came in here to Al Maghrib, I wasn't trained. And there's things I saw people doing a lot of things, and I began to do things I saw other people. So I thought I see a guy with a big old beard, kufi, and so forth and so on. And I saw this guy making this innovation. So I started following him. I didn't know. And nobody ever corrected me. And it's not good. Let's go to this here now. Going to the masjid and then innovate in it is a vicious crime and transgression, because the sunnah of Nabi alayhi was changed. They invented for themselves. This is where this verse comes in. They changed the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi. They changed it. And they invented for themselves. Okay? And I'll give you another one in this arena. Salat al-Jumu'ah. I've seen this 1,000 times. I've even talked to some of these brothers who have done this and do this. And what came out of their mouth, every single one of them, I was shocked and astonished. The brothers come in and the imam is in his gut paw. We know that the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith saw a brother come in to the masjid, and he began to do the tahiyyat to the masjid. when the Prophet ﷺ was giving his khutbah. After the Prophet came to him, remember, and he asked him why he did it. He didn't say anything to it, so he gave tacit authority to it. There's a lot of issues there, fit, but you understand the hadith what I'm talking about. I don't want to get deep into the class. I'm just trying to get the fundamentals. Now, the brother comes in to the masjid, and here's what he do. He goes to the line, and he makes a false takbir, because they were told this has been spreading, especially here, and I saw this in Sudan, and I saw this also in Misr, in Egypt. They make a takbir, they stand up, they make a takbir lightly, Allahu Akbar, and then they sit down. And I asked some of these individuals, where did he get this from? And some argued with me and told me that they got it out of one of the hadiths, and it is absolute nonsense. It's a vicious transgression. They're trying to spread this filth in the masjid. They come in, they go to their spot, the imam is in the khutbah, they make takbir, and then they sit down. They said that if you make the takbir, you don't have to do the tahiyyat. The masjid is accepted. Incredible. This is why I'm talking to you. Don't follow this, brothers. If you can't do the things that you're supposed to do, okay, and you can't make the tahiyyat masjid, you come in. It's best for you not to disturb. You come in, okay, you come in and you sit. This is the best. Don't innovate. Don't come and make Allahu Akbar and sit down. Don't do that. If you must make the tahiyyat masjid, it's okay. The Prophet ﷺ approved this. See, so we know that. They changed the Sunnah Salat, discarded the Nabi ﷺ concerning that there's no Salat after the Iqamah. Again, we talked about that. But in an instance where we have the Iqamah now for Salat al-Jumu'ah, the Iqamah has not been sounded yet. So he's in this khutbah. You can give your tahiyyat masjid, as I told you before. You give it lightly, quietly, gently, and sit down if you must. But don't innovate in it, as I explained to you before. Don't give this takbir and then sit down. It's an innovation. It's not accepted. And if anyone ever tells you it is accepted, you ask them to give you the proof. I've never seen it in any hadiths. I've talked to scholars, I've talked to students of knowledge, I've talked to many people, and they've laughed when they hear this. But it's now spreading everywhere in our masjids, everywhere. Europe, United States, the Caribbean, Africa, it's spreading. And nobody can come up with the right proof to show that you can do this. The rule to go by is again, is if you're doing your sunnah prayers or greetings to the masjid, you are in your, okay, we already talked about that, we've already talked about that part, the prayer stuff, okay, you hasten your prayers, okay, and we talked about that part, and we make matters worse. Okay, now we're going to get into the part here, the other things that I saw inside the masjid that is disturbing, and I want to tell you about that. When you are in the salat line, brothers, okay, and the Iqamah is, okay, the Iqamah is sound, now you entered what is the sunnah about that? When you hear the imam call the Iqamah to the salat, when he now calls you to the thing, you're sitting there, you have the chance now to finish your tahiyyat masjid or your sunnah, because he's not quite ordered you to come to the salat line. So you listen to what he's saying and you finish and so forth. Now, here's the part. When the people are now sitting in the line, here's one of the most disturbing things that happen. The people who are back of you decide now, after the Iqamah has sounded, and after now he's already ordered you to come to the salat line, they begin to plow through the salats, the prayer lines in front. I mean, like a bulldozer, boom, 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 blasting through people so they can get to one spot that's maybe 3 or 4 lanes above them. And they blast through the other people. That's innovation, brothers. That's a desecration. Don't do it. You disturb your brother. You push your brother. You hit your brother. You don't do that. You don't do that to a fellow Muslim. When you're in the salat line, even though you may want to go up to further, but you've already been ordered to the line. Iqamati salat, iqamatu salat. Here it is, and you're being ordered to come. Now you're in line, but you see a spot that you want because maybe it's closer to the imam, and you want more azure, but you cannot do it. So you go and plow through 3, 4, 5 different people to get that spot. And maybe that spot is filled before you can get to it. Now you got to plow through the others to go back to maybe your spot. And maybe you can't go back to the same spot because somebody filled it. And they did the same thing you did. Maybe they plowed through the other people to come to that line. Now you have to plow through a lot of different people to find a spot. And you got to push and hit people. Brothers, please stay away from all of these innovations. It's happening a lot. And sometimes I see them, I'll approach these brothers and I'll ask them. Many are receptive. 99.9% are receptive. They say, oh, sorry, Sheikh Yahya. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I just wanted the extra azure. They explain that. I explained to them about the rulings about that. They accept it. But we have the point 0 that they don't accept that. They were told we can do it. And I asked them, where's the proof? And still to this day, some of them I know, they never gave me the proof. I asked them. Sometimes I've asked them again, hey, I want to learn too. Give me the proof. They can't give you the proof. So this is what I'm talking about. So now we're talking about the imam. The imam who have adopted innovations of prayer. This is a serious issue, brothers, because today we have we have the enemy who is attacking our masjids as we speak. They're trying to do everything to destroy the masjid, cause dissension in it, usher in bid'ah innovations. They're bringing in their own people to come in to do things inside the masjid that are wrong. So now they've introduced even the imams to do this. And some of the tricks that they're doing, I'm going to talk to you about now. And then you stay away from that. There is a hadith that's chilling from our Prophet ﷺ, and I'll get into that in a minute. The imam who have adopted innovations in prayer. I'll concentrate on 2 areas that I see is so prevalent. There are the 2 areas that must be broached. I have to talk about them because they're the most prevalent. First one is making a self-indulgent dua qunut. Now, if you know the issues of fiqh on this about the dua qunut, and you know what the Prophet ﷺ has done, we're authorized to do the dua qunut. Not in every fard prayer, but you can do it in the time of calamity. We have a name for that. I don't trouble you with that today because I just want to give you the basic thing to this. The imam makes the first rak'ah. He's completed it. Correct. No problem. Recitation, everything's beautiful. You make your first rak'ah, you stand back up. Now you go to your second. Everything is beautiful. He recites. He tells you to come to the ruku. You do that. Now he comes up and we have the dua qunut. But in this instance, he's not making the dua qunut where he is giving the innovation. I mean, he's giving the innovation. He's not making dua qunut where everybody follows. He is making his own dua qunut, and all the worshipers are making their own separate individual dua qunut. This is bid'ah, brothers. No person can come forward now. I don't care. Those who listen to me, I want them to come and confront me with this and tell me that this is right, because they can't. The Prophet ﷺ did not do this. He did not make the Imam did not sit there and come up after Ruku'. Now he come up here and he's making a silent dua for himself, and all the worshipers begin to do it as well for themselves. This is not dua kunut. This is bid'ah and dalala and misguidance. And they make it in every prayer. The 5 prayers they're making it, which is bid'ah. And then they make this, then they're also innovating even further. They try to fool you by making the dua kunut, but what they do is they make a makeshift dua kunut. Well, they'll come up after Ruku' here, and they'll pause 1, 2, 3 seconds. See, it's in between dua kunut, and it's almost in between the pause before you go down to make your prostration. This is an innovation. After the Imam, after you come from Ruku', you say Sami Allahu liman hamida, right? You raise your hands, okay? And now you put your hands down and you wait, pause for a second, collectively, pause for a second, and then you say Allahu Akbar, and then you go down, right? They're not doing this. They're pausing between 3 to 5 to 6 seconds. So that way everybody can make their dua kunut. So this is an innovation that has to be stopped. But I have no power to stop this, and it's happening everywhere, okay? Everywhere. But I noticed when I went in the southern part of the country of Maghreb, I never saw that. I've only saw to the central part and up, I've seen this. But I never saw this in the southern part. I saw this one time in Sudan as well. And I asked some people about that, and they say, yeah, well, this is rising and so forth and so on, because in Khartoum is so big. They have so many masjids, and they just can't catch up. But that's another story in itself. So here's what the Prophet, just for those who say, yeah, no, come on now, you're being harsh. Here's what the Prophet said about this Imam. He says here, in this hadith, is authentic. The Imam should not supplicate for himself only. This is the proof. It is narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, no person should lead others in prayer, then supplicate only for himself and not for them. Okay, remember when we do the dua kunut, it's for the calamity. For Palestine, we have a war going on in Afghanistan. We have brothers who are dying in a flood, or we have earthquakes, and we're talking, we supplicate subhanahu wa ta'ala for his mercy in certain circumstances. Like when in 2008, I was in Sudan, we were making dua kunut because the Palestinian war with the Israelis. And this is a proof. In every salat, we were making a dua kunut, but the Imam made it for everybody, and everybody say amen, amen, amen. You see me? Amen. He would say the dua, and we would say amen. This is the sunnah, not what I was talking about here and the aforementioned, where everybody's doing their own. Or he doesn't say nothing and he pauses so everybody can make a silent dua for 3 to 5 seconds. This is bid'ah, brothers and sisters. And you see what the Prophet has said here? He said, no person shall lead others in prayer, then supplicate only for himself and not for them. Now, listen to this. If he does that, he has betrayed them. This is what the Prophet ﷺ said about the innovative Imam who does this. He's betrayed the worshipers in it. That's the proof, brothers. So those who sitting down and listening to this, saying, "Oh yeah, he's a fundamentalist. He's this, he's that. He's too harsh. He's this and that." I don't say anything without the proofs. And there's the proof. This is coming from our Nabi, alayhi salatu wasalam. He said here that the Imam who does this, he has betrayed the worshipers. So, brothers and sisters, as you see, I don't play around when it gets down to the salat, especially in the masjid. I don't play around with that at all. I don't like it, and that's why I'm talking about it. For a long time, I wanted to talk about it. I have not talked about it, and I'm talking about it today because I've had somebody ask me some things about this. So I decided today that I was going to do this quickly, and well, not as quickly, but I decided to go ahead a couple hours and go ahead and do it because it was weighed heavy on my mind. I see these innovations a lot every single day. It's wrong. And that's why I've talked about it, because I want to make sure too that I don't get penalized by subhanahu wa ta'ala, because I'm trying to do my best to correct this. But I'm in no position to order to do anything, because I'm not the imam of the masjid, and they will not allow me to be any imam of any masjid. They will not, because they have their set rules here. And just like everywhere else, it's not a racial thing. It's not that. It's not that, because we don't have that here. It's not a racial situation, because the people are black and brown here. It's not that. Here we have our set of rules. We have people who are trained and went to the schools, and they are authorized to do this. But some of them, as I said before in previous talks, have not been trained well enough to lead. They're good at reciting. They can recite the Quran beautifully, and they're hafiz in the Quran. But when it gets down to issues of fiqh, they do not know it. And this is why I'm talking about this. And many of them are guilty of this. And perhaps they don't know it because they were told this is what you can do. And maybe they don't know it. But others may know it, but they do it anyway. And this is wrong. So my brothers and sisters, I talked about this today, and I'm hoping that I touched your heart. And that, if you didn't know, that today you got something that you did learn. And those who are innovative, if they want to get mad, that's fine, because we're supposed to speak the truth. And I had to talk the truth today. And I gave you the proofs, and so forth and so on. Be careful, brothers, when you enter the masjid. Be careful. And make sure you have the right niyyah. And remember, when you make your wudu, you in the state of salat. You hasten yourself to the masjid with subhanahu wa ta'ala in mind. And then you go into the masjid and you do the things, as I said before. You see your brothers outside, you give them salam. Beautiful. You should do this. It's a beautiful thing. And they return the salam. You haven't seen Ahmed in a long time. Hey, Ahmed, how you doing, brother? And you got to shake hands and hug. There's nothing wrong with that. Now you enter the masjid with the right foot. And remember, when you leave the masjid, you exit with your left foot, and there's a dua, but I don't have time to get into that today. I just want to cover these fundamentals. And then you make that beautiful dua to subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember, when you come in the masjid, if you have been talking and so forth and so on, now you get back into the niyyah again for the salat. You come in, you collect yourself inside the masjid. Now you make your dua. Bismillah. Okay, Bismillah. And then you go through the dua. And then you go to the prayer line, or go in a place where you can make your prayer. Now, let me give you another thing. I will stop here. When you come in, the sunnah is that you find a place where you can have a sutra. A sutra is a barrier between you and the others, and also from shaitan. So you go to a pillar, or you go to the shoe rack, and you have a place where nobody can disturb you. So you can have a place to make your prostration, and nobody will enter that area of prostration. And then in some masjids, they have a wooden board, a small board, so that when the worshipers come in, they see it and they know to walk around it. So you should have a sutra there in front of you. And if there's no places of wood, you can use other objects. Like I use sometimes my tesbih. I'll put that because it's very bright green, and I'll use that. And so people will see that green as they come in. They'll know to walk around because they know I'm making prayer. So that's the other thing. That's not innovation. If you do in the open, there's nothing wrong with that. But the sunnah is you do with the sutra in mind, to put that barrier between you and the others, and also between shaitan, from shaitan. And so, and these other little etiquettes of the masjid that we learn. There's things I didn't know. I'm telling you, for a couple of years, I come into masjid, I just say space there. That's it. Now you come into a crowded masjid, you may not be able to do what I just said. And I've been in masjid like that before too, where you come in, there's so many people, The sutra actually hits the man in front of you because they're so crowded. You have no other place to go. You have to make your prayer there. You have no other place to do that. But brothers and sisters, make sure this thing that you don't hurt your brothers inside the masjid or harm them or you cause them to anger. Don't push through them. Don't plow through them. If you're in the back row, even if you want to get the extra ajr, if you make the niyyah that you wanted that, but you can't, you in the 6th row, but you saw an opening in the 2nd row, but you got to plow through the brothers to get to it. Don't do it. Subhanahu wa ta'ala knows in your heart you wanted that spot, but you can't get it because you have to plow through your brothers. Your brother may be making him a dua. He could be making a dua there. And then suddenly you hit him in the back and you hit him in the arm, and then you knock his arms down, and he's making dua to Subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you push him so you can get to the, don't do it. This is a thing, I see this a lot, especially Salat al-Jumu'ah. Boy, when it's time, I see people doing all kinds of things. They'll go from row 8 all the way to row 4 or row 2, and they're plowing through like a tractor, like going through corn, and plowing through people, pushing people, bumping people, hitting people in the back, so that way they can push way to go to the 2nd row. That's innovation. Don't do that, brother. That's a vicious transgression to do that to your brother. Stay away from that. So, brothers and sisters, I hope you got something out of this today. And we should always try to learn. And I had to learn. We all have to learn. And sometimes we have to learn the hard way. But we should learn. And I'm hoping today you got something out of this from your brother, because I saw these things, and perhaps you've been seeing these things in the masjid, but you didn't know how to explain it. Now you have the impetus to explain that. If you can do it, if you have the right proofs, you correct your brother gently inside the masjid like I do. I go and pat him on the back. Hey, Muhammad, I saw you do this, brother. Please, this is how you're supposed to do that. You talk kindly. They don't want to accept that. You walk away. Move on. Don't worry about that. But if you can do it, you correct your brother, and you do it politely, lightly, and with love. Okay, and respect to your brother, and you correct him. Hey, yeah, I saw you do this. You can't do this. The Iqamah already sounded off. You're making 4 rak'ahs, and the imam already started the prayer. He came and gently told me, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. Oh, thank you, brother, for telling me." Many times people give you, thank yous for that. So this is how we're supposed to handle that. Okay, my dear brothers and sisters, I'll leave you today with this beautiful words of Jannah. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.